Betrayed and left in the woods, the spirits have other plans for this baby. Betrayed and left in the woods. But the spirits had other plans for this child. Years passed, and the child of the forest grew into a man, strong, silent, different from every other human. At 20 years old, he was no longer just a boy. He had become power. But far away from the forest, in the village he came from, something was terribly wrong. People began to die. A strange sickness spread across the land. Crops failed, children cried, and fear took over every home. What was once a peaceful village became a place of sorrow. No solution, no cure, no peace. So the elders gathered. With heavy hearts and trembling voices, they called on the herbalist. The herbalist closed his eyes and the air became still. The spirits were consulted. And when he spoke, his voice was heavy with authority. The answer is not here. There is a man raised by the forest. He is the one you abandoned. He is the one chosen. Until he returns and takes his place as king, this suffering will not end.
The gods have spoken that our king is in the forest. Let's go and fetch him. Yes, we must go at once. The ancestors will guide us.
They knew what they had to do. Without wasting time, 3 elders were chosen. They entered the forest, slowly, carefully, as if the trees themselves were watching them. The deeper they went, the heavier the air became. Then suddenly, they saw him, standing still, calm, powerful, like a king without a throne. The elders trembled. They dropped their staffs and bowed before him. Please, come back with us. Our people are dying. You are the only one who can save us. The man said nothing. He only looked at them deeply. And then, without a word, he turned and began to walk. He walked in silence, and the elders followed behind him, step by step, out of the forest, back to the land that once rejected him. As they approached the village, the air began to change. People came out slowly, weak, tired, hopeless. But the moment they saw him, something shifted. A strange calm, a quiet hope, like light returning after a long darkness. Mothers held their children tighter. Elders watched in disbelief. Is this him? They whispered. He said nothing. He only stood and looked across the land. And in that moment, the wind moved. The drums began to sound, slow, deep, powerful. The village gathered. What was once filled with sorrow now stood still, waiting. The elders stepped forward. This is the one, they declared, the chosen one, the one sent to save us. They brought out the sacred crown, old, powerful, feared, the symbol of kingship. The man stood tall, unmoved. Then slowly He accepted it. The crown was placed on his head. Silence fell. Then the wind rose. The trees shook. The ground itself responded. At that very moment, something broke. The sickness began to fade. The weak started to breathe again. The dying opened their eyes. Crops stood upright once more. Life returned. Songs filled the air, drums echoed through the land, and for the first time in a long time, there was no fear. And the boy who was abandoned in the forest became the king. Not by force, not by birthright, but by destiny. A king chosen by something greater than men. A king who brought life where there was death. A king the forest did not forget.